So let's see. JT Barrett hurt against Michigan late in the game. Backup quarterback, who's a freshman, comes in and defeats the team up north to move on to the Big Ten championship game. Where have we seen this before? All right, Ohio State defeats Michigan 31-20. The Buckeyes have defeated the Wolverines 6 consecutive years and also 13 of 14 with the Luke Fickell 2011 season. The aberration. Hard-fought game. Michigan actually controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball for most of the game until the Buckeyes broke it loose with a late touchdown from Mike Weber. MarkRogersTV with instant analysis of the Buckeyes win to move on to the Big Ten championship game in which they will face Wisconsin. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for the very best in college football coverage and analysis from just not myself, but the best bloggers and broadcasters in college football. John O'Korn starting the game went 19 of 32, so the stats weren't bad. 195 yards, did throw the costly interception, but from the very first series, he missed on throws. It was a 3rd and long, very first series of the game. He misses on a throw down the middle that he missed Wheatley on, who would have picked up substantial yardage, and John O'Korn missed on a number of throws throughout the game, and really the difference in the game was O'Korn not making the throws that he should have. Chris Evans made some exceptional runs in this game, really eluded defenders, was tough to tackle, both on the swing passes, but mostly from the backfield. Chris Evans had a pretty remarkable game in this one. 11 carries for 67 yards and also hurt Ohio State out of the backfield in the pass game. In the first quarter, Michigan dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage, 105 total yards to Ohio State's -6. Rashawn Gary, Mo Hurst dominating up front. Khaleke Hudson, also one of the best players in the country, 17 tackles for loss, leads the Big Ten, wreaking havoc all over the place. Ohio State relying too much on JT Barrett to carry the load. They've talked about it the last half of the season in which the running backs have been taken away by the defense in terms of the zone option play. And Barrett has had to keep it way too much. And this is a trend that we've seen over and over. And we saw it for most of the game this afternoon. But the Buckeyes trailed at 14-0, mostly because of poor special teams. Again, Ohio State allowed a 42-yard punt return by Donovan Peoples-Jones to take it inside the 5-yard line. Michigan also showed some life on offense, some creative playmaking, again, getting the ball into Donovan Peoples-Jones' hand, mostly Chris Evans. Zach Gentry also with a touchdown reception in which he faked out Nick Bosa, who was supposed to collapse, but Gentry got behind him for the touchdown. So Michigan scores 2 touchdowns, one a 75-yard drive, the other on the Donovan Peoples-Jones punt return of 42 yards when Ohio State was backed up in its own end and couldn't gain anything in the first quarter, and the Wolverines led it 14-0. Ohio State finally mounted a drive and tied it at 14 on the Marcus Ball touchdown reception in which he got past the linebacker who was sucked in by the play action, and we move it to the second half. There were some questionable calls in regards to Michigan's offensive line being called for holding a number of times. Also, a would-be pass interference call against Damon Webb, or that was actually Denzel Ward holding Donovan Peoples-Jones on a 3rd and 9 in which Michigan was not able to convert as both teams went back and forth. Michigan on its 3rd series of the second half. Call this the Mason Cole, their center, number 52. Let's call it the Mason Cole drive. He had 2 exceptional plays, one in which they got Crawford loose on the bubble screen. Cole got out to the edge. He's that athletic, knocked out 2 Ohio State defenders. 43-yard play by Crawford set up the first touchdown from 1 yard out. And then he led the touchdown drive. He led the touchdown play by Karan Higdon, just sealed off the inside. Higdon had the lane from 2 yards out, and it was 20-14 because Denzel Ward, a guy that has a propensity of blocking kicks. He's blocked a punt, a big occasion against Penn State during that 18-point comeback. And in this game, it didn't necessarily prove to be decisive, but certainly could have been. blocked the extra point, and Michigan only led it 20-14. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. JT Barrett takes off on another scramble. Again, running the ball way too much in this game. JT Barrett ended up with, 15 carries for 67 yards, 3 pass completions out of 8 attempts, as his wide receivers, again, did not help him out in this game. Terry McLaurin had a drop on a downfield throw. Benjamin Victor on a 3rd and 18 that would have been close to the sticks that forced the punt that Donovan Peoples-Jones ran back for 42 yards. Victor cost them with a dropped pass. But in this play, JT takes off. He hurts the knee. He's had issues with a meniscus that's been out of place for quite some time. He had to leave the game. Insert the redshirt freshman, Dwayne Haskins. Haskins comes into the game, and maybe the play of the game was a 3rd and 13 call in which it appeared as though Ohio State would go conservative, but they didn't. They trusted the redshirt freshman, and he showed off the arm. He ripped off a throw in tight coverage to Austin Mack to complete and convert the 3rd and 13. And that set up the touchdown in which Dwayne Haskins took it in. He broke contain, he read the lane, and he took off for the touchdown. Actually took it down to the 1-yard line that led to the touchdown run. And the Buckeyes had a 21-20 lead. Sean Nurenberger on the next drive after Dwayne Haskins had a 6-for-7 day passing. And most of those were critical 3rd down conversions because they still didn't quite trust him to open it up on 1st and 2nd down. Nurenberger hit the 44-yarder. His longest field goal this season, Nurenberger, 38 yards. So high percentage from close in. The Buckeyes with issues, long field goal kicking, long kickoffs. They kicked one out of bounds. They had some other ones, very short kickoffs again today. But Nurenberger makes this kick to make it 24-20. Eddie McDoom made an exceptional catch over the shoulder on one of the great throws by O'Korn in this game. He did make some nice passes on his 19 for 32. That completed a 3rd down over Damon Arnett for 45 yards. And but Jerome Baker, once Ohio State was backed up in its own end defensively on a 3rd and 4 play, this was with about 6.5 minutes left in the game, tipped a pass where the receiver on the slant was open. O'Korn had it on the money. Jerome Baker tipped it away, and then the Buckeyes held on 4th and 4 as O'Korn missed his receivers. So this is the repeated play right here. John O'Korn makes the great throw to Eddie McDoom, gets them down the field, makes what looked to be an on-target throw on the 3rd and 4 that Baker tipped to cause the incompletion. But then on the 4th and 4 with his receiver open, O'Korn misses him, and the Buckeyes take it back over at 24-20 with about 2.5 minutes left. O'Korn doesn't get it back one more time with considerable time on the clock, 2:48, but he throws the interception when he expected the wide receiver, number 1, to run the curl in, or that's what he ran. He didn't run the 9 route, and O'Korn threw it up for the center fielder, Jordan Fuller, playing back there, intercepted the pass, and that pretty much sealed it as the Buckeyes ripped off some first downs and a touchdown as an offensive line in a running game that was, forget the stats, at 220 yards rushing, was bottled up the entire game, ripped off 2 huge runs when they needed to grind out the clock, and also put on an insurance TD. J.K. Dobbins for 35, Mike Weber then for 25 in the touchdown. Buckeyes win it 31-20. Okay, what does it mean? For Michigan, they're 8-4. It's kind of a lost season for this group that lost 19 starters, 10 on defense. We didn't know how good Michigan would be. They beat Florida out of the gate. The Gators turned out to be awful. They beat the teams they were supposed to in the Big Ten. They lost close games against Michigan State in particular, blown out in the second half at Happy Valley, a loss to Wisconsin, outclassed in the fourth quarter after leading 10-7 in the third quarter last week. This Michigan team, the roster, really good. Jim Harbaugh haters, get off his back. Give him one more season at least. I know that he's been there for 3 years. He took over a 5-7 football team that had some talent, and he's recruited even much better talent. The roster is set up for 2018 and especially 2019. Michigan football is in really good hands. We've seen Harbaugh do this at San Diego State, Stanford, and with the San Francisco 49ers. He will do it at Michigan. He will seriously contend for championships. Okay, for Ohio State, it's the here and now, 10-2 record. They move on to the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin. They're facing statistically the best defense in the country. I would say it's one of the top 5 to 10 realistically on the field, but statistically against a weak schedule, number 1 in college football. I'm sure a lot of Ohio State fans are going to want Dwayne Haskins after his 6-for-7 performance and showing similar running ability to JT Barrett to be the starter for the Wisconsin game. We'll have to see what the status of JT Barrett is. Again, he was on the sideline. We don't know if that was a precautionary play or if because Haskins was having success and the Buckeyes had taken the lead, that JT Barrett was held out of the game in favor of Dwayne Haskins in regards to just who was leading the team better at that point. So I'm sure Buckeye fans are going to be calling for Dwayne Haskins. I would stay with JT Barrett if completely healthy. If there's a compromised knee here, if he's not near 100%, Dwayne Haskins has showed himself not just in this game, but in other games in garbage time to be a capable player, both somewhat dynamic with his legs, also has the gun, has the arm to get it done, and has made reasonable decisions. He did in this game, in addition to the throw that I broke down to Austin Mack to complete the 3rd and 13, also ripped off a slant, made really good throws on time, on the money, took care of the football. Dwayne Haskins could be a viable option for Ohio State against Wisconsin. Need to hear from you now. We enjoy the comments and the conversation, the discussion, and the debate right here on Mark Rogers TV.